Hello there and welcome back to the Developer's Guide to Windows 10. I'm Andy Wigley. Of course, you know I've been with you all day, but I'm really happy to have with me Nikola, who's on our team.
I'm just a bit hungry, so you're not you when you're hungry.
Yeah. Shen's gone off. He's going to be back with us this afternoon to talk about some more stuff. But you're with me either side of our lunch here in Redmond. So we're doing this session now on Live Tiles, Push Notifications and Action Center. Then we're going to take a break, and then you're going to come back, and you've got some really cool stuff after lunch, haven't you, around?
Hopefully. We'll see. You never know. It does a long time from now.
Cortana and inking, and lots of great reasons to keep
drag and drop, and Windows Hello.
Windows Hello,
yes.
Yeah, it's real fun stuff. This is fun, but it's a load of stuff, so I'm going to go through this pretty quickly, and we've got a couple of demos. So we're going to talk, this is all about the whole thing about this reaching out to users, about the tiles and the push notifications, the tweet, the toasts and all that sort of thing. We've got quite a lot of new features compared to 8.1 we've got in UWP and Windows 10. Yeah, so first of all, let's just kind of take a step back and look about like sort of tile the basics.
Kind of what we've had in Windows 8 and kind of moving on.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. And first of all, actually, it's probably worth saying that the primary tile, you know, when you create a file new project, you get this assets folder, and the artwork is all in there. And you can supply tiles at different resolutions, can't you? The artwork for your
different
tiles.
Scale monitors and different DPIs.
Yeah, because we were talking yesterday about, we were talking about
I was watching.
Effective pixels, and how in XAML you don't have to worry about actually the resolution of the screen or anything. But with actual image assets, you do have to kind of supply, you probably want to supply assets at different scale resolutions. So by default, if you do a file new project, it gives you out of the box and ready to go blank images.
Beautiful design.
Yeah, that's right. At scale 200. And if you're only going to, you don't have to supply all of the scale factors. If you're going to supply one, we suggest you supply scale 200, and then we can scale down or scale up on different devices accordingly. But then this is what a tile looks like. So we've got a basic state for it. And you can think of a tile as being layers. So you've got the plate, which is the background of it. And overlaid on that, you have the app logo. And then on top of that, you have the short name. And in the package manifest, you can set the back color of the tiles. And your images could actually be just the logo on a transparent in a PNG. So it would shine through. And if you don't supply anything like that, you'll get the user's accent color will be shining through this plate. So they'll get a color of one kind or another.
It's new to Windows 10. It didn't exist in Windows 8.1 or 8.0. It was in Windows Phone. Now it's new in Windows 10. Yeah, we had it on phone. So we kind of converged more on the phone 8.1 sort of way of handling these sort of things. And then you can have the short name. It makes up what the user sees. So that's the basic state. Then we have what we call the semi-live state, which is the same, but we add another layer on top, which has got the badge. So this is where you can simply and there's this badge update APIs. You can put a count, basically, of anything on there, so to indicate to the user unread count of notifications. And then you go for the full live state. This is the big offering here, where we add actually a whole new layer. Actually sits above the plate, as you see there, which is our content layer. So the content could be images or text or whatever, and this is where you can supply yet more information, relevant information to the user. And these are important, of course, because the tiles, the user has the option to pin them to the start screen, or the mini start that you get on Windows 10 desktop machines. And it's for their favorite apps, and obviously we hope that your apps are going to be your users' favorite, and you can use this tile to keep them up to date with relevant information to them and keep them interested. They don't have to open the app to see something that's new. So the thing is, you can use the tile as a way of communicating with the user, then they tap on the tile and launch into your app, which is of course what you want as an app developer. So yes, there are various ways of updating tiles in order to allow this kind of live thing to happen. First of all, you can set a scheduled tile notification. There's one in the manifest, isn't there, where you can actually set a URI, and it will just go off like an RSS feed. And
you can go off that URI every so often, however many hours in between, and it will just go off. And on your server logic, you might be updating the image on the server, and your clients will just pull that back off your server. Or you can do this locally. You can actually, you can have logic, a scheduled tile notification, to feed it a number of different images to supply to show over a period of time.
You can do it in the background, like you mentioned before. You have a background task that updates these live tiles.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, yeah.
In fact, in the last session that you went in, we actually showed a simple background, not the one before that. We were talking about background tasks, and we actually had a demo of a background task that updated the badge count.
Yeah.
And in that sample was a tile image updater. I didn't show that one as well, but that's in the samples. Yeah, you can have a periodic, so this is the one where you can pull from a URL at a selectable interval, which could be 30 minutes, 60 minutes, 6 hours, 12 hours, or 24 hours. And this is where you have logic on your back-end server that's updating the image that is pulled from that URL. You can run logic in your foreground app or in a background task to actually just update the tile straight away as a one-shot thing. And we can use push services. So in the last session we were looking at Azure mobile apps, and the last demo I had was sending a toast update from the back-end service. But of course you can actually use push to update tiles as well, and you can use push to update badges and send toasts. So lots of different options there. This is a code sample, shows you how to update the tile badge. So you just use the badge update manager for doing this. So you get the template content, which gives you back an XML fragment
Of what the tile looks like, basically.
of what the tile looks like, yeah. And you then simply drill down into that XML, into the DOM of that, and get elements out of it and update them. So here your elements by tag name badge, you pull that out, you can get directly at the XML element, and then you can set attributes on it. So you can set the value attribute of that badge element to whatever, 47 in this example. And then you call badge update manager.create badge updater for application, and that updates that count.
It's interesting to say you can also put glyphs here instead of just numbers. So there's preset of glyphs that you can set, like a mail icon or something like that.
Right.
So you can actually give them some context of what that number means.
Yeah, that's right. So it's not
Yeah.
just a number. Yeah, you can have a
Exactly.
tiny little glyph as well. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that's kind of how that works. As you can see, you call the badge update manager .update to send, that actually causes it to happen. You can also have secondary tiles. I don't know, how much do you think people really use secondary tiles?
Depends on the application, but I've seen some applications where they have secondary tiles for a specific section of the application. So you can have a whole section on your start screen that can be for different parts of your application, like a sports application.
Yeah.
You can have a tile just for every single team, so you can go directly into that, team statistics, etc., instead of just going from the homepage of the application and finding your other team. So you can go directly to where you need to go.
And I think the one I've used, I've found most useful in the apps that I use is my airline app. You know, you can check in online, you get your boarding pass downloaded to your phone, you can actually pin that as a tile to your start screen. So then I'm walking up to security, I need to get that electronic boarding pass out and just tap on the tile. So that's a secondary tile.
Yeah, I use the same thing. And also, because it's a live tile, it shows you information about your flight, etc., and it updates constantly if it's late. So you can have all this information flowing in your sim. Yeah.
So what that's about, this is kind of the classic use for a secondary tile. So the primary tile, you can't pin those through code. It has to be the user finding your app in the apps thing and then clicking on it and saying pin to start, and that's how they pin an app to the start screen. And that's the primary tile that you define in the manifest. You can update it once, what you define in the manifest is the static first appearance of it, but you can run code to update it subsequently, but you can't actually create that tile. Secondary tiles are created entirely in code, so you'll have some kind of UI on the screen in the app, and give the option, do you want to pin this team to the start screen? And then this is where you run something like this. You have secondary tile, you have to have a tile ID, perhaps details tiles, you might use a GUID or something, to be honest, but you then just, if it's not already pinned, then you can new up a secondary tile object and then call tile.requestCreateAsync. Nice and simple.
And create a sync is actually pretty nice because it asks the user to pin the tile. You can't pin the tile programmatically without asking the user, so they have to know that you're pinning. Yeah. So you can't just spam the start screen.
Yeah, no, that's right. Spamming the start screen would be bad. Yeah. Now, how do you define the content for tiles? Well, yes, we've got lots of variety here. So, there's lots of different sizes and there's lots of different ways you can lay out stuff. So the basic app templates, and this gives you a kind of a feeling for the variety of the different ones that we've got. Now, up till Windows 10, we had a large catalogue of what we now call legacy templates. So there were hundreds of these things.
There's so many. People love them, but also hated them.
Yeah, there's so many different styles. There is a style for anything you could possibly imagine. Well, not quite, but So there are actually over 80 templates available, and what we've got, the phone and Windows had their own. It would now be merged into one coherent, same across all our platforms as with everything in UWP. It's all one platform, one set of templates, and all of the previous templates are still valid. You can use them, and in fact they're actually kind of improved on phone. So phone, you used to be able to specify a subset of the desktop templates, and even then some of the attributes, the values you might set in the template would be ignored on phone, but we've actually got a lot better at showing a lot of that content on the phone now. You can still use them, but we also heard from our developers, please, no more templates, we're done with that, we've got in more templates than we know what to do with. So we heard you, and we're not created any more new templates in 10.
You're welcome.
What we have done is created the one template to rule them all, which comes loosely under the title of adaptive templates. So what this is a new way of defining the content for a tile, or a toast as well. They both use this thing. Here's a tile thing, and the idea here is that it's a lightweight XML. It's not XAML. It's lightweight XML, and you can use this to supply to actually kind of suggest the content for the tile, and the tile template engine will take everything you define in this XML and will do its best effort at displaying it in a way that makes sense. And the reason why I say that is actually a medium tile, we've got an example here, is not exactly the same size on all systems, because different systems have different start screens, different screen sizes, and a medium tile, yes, sure, it's recognizable as a medium tile, but they might be slightly bigger on a surface compared to obviously a phone. So we will try and actually render all of this information, but that's why they're called this kind of hint styles and that sort of thing. And you can supply groups of stuff. So hint styles, you can actually say, I want this to be shown in a sort of subtitle style. So you can actually group things into subgroups, so you can have content that's grouped together. So you're kind of suggesting to the layout engine, this is kind of the idea, this is what I want, and it will do its best effort at doing that. So here's another example of a medium tile. You can actually supply an image for the back like that, say placement equals background. So we've got a nice HoloLens image. And then we have the text there where you can say, okay, I'd like you to wrap this, please, if you can. And then you can see there that as the three images at the bottom are the minimum medium size on a small phone maybe, and right going up to the maximum medium size that you'll see on a much bigger system. And you can see it's doing the right thing. It's sort of wrapping that text and coming up with something that works on each of those. So a few specific examples. A small tile, you might just say brand equals none and text stacking equals center, and actually all that you've got on there is just simply like a badge count. And that's that first one. The second one, here we got a medium tile where you've got obviously a bit more option for supplying a bit more content. So here you say the template, this is the hint, this is for a tile medium. The hint style equals caption, and obviously in this XML you can supply all of these. It's showing it separate, but you can have the tile small, tile medium, tile large, all in one bit of XML. And here you can say, okay, I want a caption, and then here's the big tile wide. Now we can start putting things like this nice image on it as well. So the binding template equals tile wide. You're saying, okay, I'd like you to try and do 3 lines if you can, and that's kind of how you're doing. And then we get the very large tile, which is desktop only, so this will be ignored. You can send this XML, keep this XML in your app that runs on all our devices, but it won't create a large tile on the phone. But this is desktop only, and yeah, even richer as well. It's the tile large, and you can kind of put in-line images as well, like that map you can see in the middle there. So you've got a nice rich.
It's nice. You don't have to open the app just so you can find some relevant information. If it's big, you see it. Yeah, it's there.
That's right. That's right. So different versions of the same tile. Yeah. Okay, so that was a quick run through tiles. We've got a lot of stuff to get through here, so I'm keeping the pace up fairly. Because let's talk about toast, which is a related subject. Toast. How do you use toast? Well, there's kind of 2 ways of thinking of toast. First of all, you can use it just as a quick interruptive information thing. New email from blah 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 whatever, and you don't want to overuse toast because they are interruptive.
And annoying
if your app,
yeah.
They can be annoying, yeah. So you can thankfully turn them off through Action Center. You can go on to quiet hours, and you can stop all that stuff from happening.
And if an app does too much toast, then user is going to install it. So you got to be careful about it.
So use it wisely. But if you've got important information, you can use that as a glance, just giving them an interruptive thing. It slides in, and it will say for a bit and then disappear. And that's so the user can consume that information. But this is the new guy. We've now got this real nice thing for interactive toasts, where the user can actually interact directly with the toast without having to tap on it. So the first one, the user can tap on that and it will open the app, and then they can go off an action, whatever it is that they were working on. But you know, with the bottom one, they can interact directly with the toast, and it calling into your app to kind of do something. You could even call into your app in the background, so the user doesn't need to see your app launching, but they are actually interacting with your app and acting on something here, which is really, really nice.
They don't have to lose focus on what they're doing. They can just do an action and just continue what they're doing without opening an app.
So as it says, they perform simple tasks without context switching. Really, really nice new feature we've got here. As with tiles, the old templates still are there. You can still carry on and use them. And if the template meets your needs, just please go ahead and use it. So you've got all of them, but we've got this new adaptive template, uses the exact same XML syntax as the tiles we were just looking at. So you can use all that. And number of ways of sending toasts, kind of similar to what we had with the tiles. You can send them on a scheduled toasts, set template and time with a scheduled toast notification. You can also set that to be on a recurring schedule. You can actually just have some local code. You can send a toast directly from your foreground or from a background task. And you can use push from the cloud, so you can use push services to send toast through as well. In fact, that's what I showed from the app mobile services thing. So to send a toast, this is using a traditional template, toast template type.toasttext01. And again, similar to with the tile traditional templates, you can get the template content, drill down into the DOM, find an element, update or create new elements, append a child there. So you can create a text node, and then so this is the traditional template. You can go and get the text element, and then you call the toast notification manager to show the toast. And that's actually directly sending it. That's the kind of code you'd have in a background task as well. But the interactive toast is where things really get interesting. This is an example of lots of the different kinds of templates you can have. Desktop. You can have a simple update with a minimum size balloon. Then you can actually have a text box on it and type directly in, and a little icon. They tap on it, directly send a message right from the toast. You can have buttons on it, like and dislike, and then you can have a little bit of it on mobile. You can see the same things, but how they're showing on Windows 10 mobile. So it's really rich, and you use the same XML syntax we looked at for tiles. So here we've got an example of a toast generic. This is the name, the template style for our new adaptive templates. And you can see how we've got some image content on there and a couple of options. This is an idea. This is one example of using a selection box. You can actually put input title equals snooze 4 there. So this is where you're telling the layout engine, I want you to have an input mechanism on this toast. And then you can actually give it some selections, and you supply the different selections there, which are 5, 10 or 20 minutes, and that turns up in that drop down box there. And then the user can choose snooze or dismiss, and we'll talk about how that's handled in just a moment. So this one, where with a reminder, you're actually asking the system just to handle that for them. It's just a reminder thing. So yeah, there's an option of the 20-minute one. So this is this toast action, this snooze thing. So here you're saying, okay, when they choose one of these options, what do you want to do with it? And the different kinds of things you can do is activate your app. You could activate your background task, or you could say, you know, system, could you just handle this, please? Because this is one where your app doesn't need to get involved. This is just you put up a reminder. This is obviously a Cortana-like experience where we're giving somebody a warning about some traffic problems. Never have those over here.
No.
No, never. And here we've got the activation type is system, equals system. So we're saying, okay, system, you handle this. It's a snooze time. The content is whatever they've selected. So that will then be handled by the system. And the dismiss is just to clear it as well. So there you go. That's the kind of example of that. That's the dismiss button. And you can customize this. You know, you can actually supply like this app logo override, a little bit of an image on there, which appears up on the top of the toast. So you can start adding much more. It was just kind of, you know, there wasn't a lot of richness to toast before. You can do all that. Now this is an example of activation type background. So here we're going to launch a background task to respond to whatever the user enters into the text box. Which again, from the user's point of view, it's not interruptive because they're running some code in the background now. So your app can then handle whatever they've entered into the toast, and great stuff happens. And you see there we've got a little send.png, the little image there on the right is the kind of the button, the activation button is hosting that image. So this is the different ways in terms of the actions, these interactive toast elements, how you can actually handle when the user interacts with it. First of all, this activation type equals foreground. When the user taps on the button, the app launches, you get an activation type that's associated with that. You pull out the any input that they've put into that toast, and you can then obviously do whatever. Your app launches, and you can navigate them to whatever page and put them into the appropriate experience that's associated with that particular activation. You can launch your background task. So this time your app doesn't cause any visual UI. It's not interrupted to the user, but your app can still execute some code in order to, again, task launches, you can get the args out of that, the event args that are passed into your background task, and then you do whatever it is you need to do. There's actually an activation type protocol. So this one, you are doing and we're going to talk this afternoon about launch URI async, which is an API in UWP where you can simply, an app or a background task can sort of throw out to the system, hey, can you find somebody to handle this URI scheme? And if there's an app installed on the system that's registered for that URI scheme, it will launch that app. If there isn't, if it's like a web URI, it will launch the browser. If it's one that it's not recognized at all, then the system, Windows 10, will invite you to go off to the store to find an app that will actually handle that particular protocol. And you can do that through these as well, with the toast. So that's an activation type equals protocol.
That's nice, because if you've used the protocol for multiple different features or multiple different uses, you can use the same one. You don't have to rewrite more code just so you can handle a toast, for example. You can use that for an app activating or toast activating the exact same code.
That's right. That's right. And then the final one, we kind of already looked at that, the activation type equals system, which is kind of for alarms and reminders. You let the system just take care of that, and that's for a specific thing. So talking about those special toast scenarios, here's an alarm. An alarm is just another kind of toast now. So you can now do alarms. We couldn't do that in 8.1 on desktop. We had a different API for doing it on Windows Phone Silverlight. Anyway, we now got this here. You can actually have a nice alarm pop up on there, and you can also do reminders, and these are these system activation types, and there's also an incoming call special toast scenario. So those three are all ones that basically the system, you can create the toast, but the system then kind of takes over with handling the response.
And you do have some control. You can set what sound you want it to play, for example. You can set many different things. The system gives you control over that too. You can say if you want the loop, if you wanted how long you wanted this to stay, stuff like that.
Cool. Yeah. And this is like the alarm toast, the modern adaptive alarm thing. So, I think you've got a demo to show us a little bit. That's a lot of talking, so it's much more interesting to look at some code. So if we can do that.
Yes, of course. So let me go ahead and switch over to Visual Studio.
There we go.
There it is. So I have a task. So I have what I've built is I've created this little application here that allows me to use the Notification Hub in Azure to send notifications over to applications that you actually built. So let me run the application real quick.
That thing we're looking at there, that's a WPF app, isn't it?
That's a WPF application.
It's just a utility for
It uses the exact same API that a web application we use on the back end. So you use the exact same DLL to invoke Notification Hub to send notifications or send lifestyle updates to an application.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
There you go. So this is the application, the beautiful application that you've built. So I've kind of extended this to enable notifications and handle these notifications in the background and the foreground.
Yeah.
So I've registered this already with the store and registered this with a notification hub that I have in Azure.
Yeah, in fact, in the last session we showed how to register your app with the store and get, you get all that
Great.
client secret and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is exactly what the client, like exactly what you showed. This is exactly what the web would do. They would generate this XML, the same one that you just showed in the slides. For example, this is a one that sends that snooze and dismiss effect. So it actually shows up with snooze or dismiss, gives you options to select.
Yep.
You don't have to draw
So
that
yeah,
at
so
all.
we've got the hint, system command, snooze and dismiss,
Exactly,
action,
yeah.
content, activation type, foreground, and yeah.
So I have several ones. So for example, if I send this to my applications, you will see it pop up here. You see it has the beautiful image.
Yep, great.
Let's do it
I
one
like
more
your
time.
artwork there.
Yes,
That's cool.
thank you. Yes, I
Yeah.
spent a lot of time on that. So you
Yeah.
can see I have snooze and dismiss. These are options that I didn't actually, buttons I didn't actually add. They were added by the system themselves.
Yeah.
The options the system added myself. So if I hit snooze or dismiss, those are, as you said, handled by the system. I don't
Yeah.
have to write any code for that. And
Yeah.
if I hit snooze, it would remind me 9 minutes later if I want to do that. There's also two options here that you can't see due to resolutions, but there's one edit item and complete item.
So the hint, system command, snooze and dismiss is what has come up with these first two buttons.
Exactly,
That bit
yes.
there. Can you just expand that, make that a bit bigger? Yeah.
Yes, there
There
it
we go.
is.
So hint, system commands has created these top two buttons, and then you've added a couple more action content buttons there, edit item
Exactly.
and complete. And one of them, edit item, is going to do an activation type of foreground to our app, and the other one is going to do an activation type of background to our app. All right,
Correct.
cool.
And then I've set up some arguments that each one of these can pass. So for example, I have an edit command that I can handle in the foreground, and I'm passing the ID of the item I want to edit.
Yep.
And then I have a complete command that I want to pass in the background, and I'm passing the ID of that item that I want to complete. So essentially, when I hit complete, this item should be completed.
Okay, cool.
If we look at actually the code that we've written for this, for the backgrounds, for the foreground application,
Yeah.
all we have to do essentially is, let me just dismiss this real quick. To handle this, all we have to do is just, register a hookup for notifications. So like you said, we have a notifying notification hub.
Find that out?
Yes. We're going to the notification hub and registering our channel ID
Yep.
right there. And then
Yeah.
we're registering with our notification hub.
Yeah.
Now, when I hit the edit button, what will happen is my unactivated event will fire on my application. And that will pass on the argument that I've sent. So I can handle this argument in a way that I can open up the application and edit that file. So for example, once I receive that notification, and I hit on edit item, that will open the application, select the item for editing, and I can actually do some things and
Goes
edit the
straight onto
file.
that one, yeah.
Goes
Cool.
directly into that item.
Yeah, nice.
I've also added a background one, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
So to add a background one, you need to add a background task. If
Yep.
you look at my background task, I have one right here.
Okay.
And notification tasks.
Okay.
Just like you saw it in your previous session, you just create a new
Just wanna
background task,
expose-
and you have a
expand that
run
out.
method,
Yeah.
and this run method essentially handles the toast notification action trigger.
So those details from that parameter, we get that I background, that task instance is passed into that run method, and then we can get the trigger details out of it, pull out the argument, so we extract that edit colon, the argument that you sent to
Exactly,
it,
yes.
and know which to-do item it is we're meant to be operating on.
Yeah, and once I know what the item is, I can simply just use the API to retrieve that item, complete it, and save the item back.
Nice, nice.
You've already shown how to register this background task. All I have to do to register it for activating items, you simply have to go to the manifest. Let's open that up
Yep.
with code. There you go. So we can just do view code. This way we can see the code that we've added to register the manifest.
Yep.
And here it is. This is for the notification task. You'll see here that it's simply a system event.
Yep.
So I've just registered a system event. I give it an entry point, and it's just a background task.
Yep.
Then once I launch the application, I create this background task, and I set the method. So you can see here I'm registering the background task, and I'm setting the entry point right here to the name of the background task. I'm setting a trigger to a toast notification action trigger.
Yep.
That way, when I get an action from a toast notification, it goes directly to this background task that I've created.
Nice. Yep.
Now, I can actually show you this working if I set this applications to not launch, but debug my code when it launches.
Yep.
I can set a breakpoint where right here in the background task.
Yeah. In fact, this session earlier, I just showed running a background task from the debug location drop down. But this is I didn't show this way, so this is a nice way to know. So you set that in the debug to run my code, but don't run it. Debug my code, but don't run it.
Exactly. So it will start debugging, but once it activates
we're waiting
the code,
for
wait
whatever
something
the
to happen.
external thing is to actually cause that code to activate.
Exactly.
Which
So
is clearly is.
So I'll send it to do again. So if I hit complete, which should essentially get hit
Here
into
we
a
go.
background task,
Great.
and then we can go through and follow the code, etc.
Yeah.
And once we let this complete, and if you look at the background
go
task,
back to the foreground app.
yeah,
There we go.
you'll see that is actually now completed.
Yeah.
Let's just make that look. There it is.
Need to fix the.
There's still some
the overlining there.
rough
Yeah.
edges around there, but yes,
Yeah.
you can see that it completed
it's
the.
now completed
thing.
that task.
Didn't open the application; it just,
It just
did it
had
for
done
you.
it.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
Very simple, very straightforward to do.
Yeah. That's really nice. And this whole thing, interactive toast, is a really great, nice feature for adding a lot of value to people. Yeah, for apps. Okay, so so we've done tiles and we've done toast. So let's talk a bit about push, because all of these things. So at the moment, I mean, push was actually involved with it in there, because notification hubs is using push to send that through.
Essentially, you could have used that app from your machine to send me a notification. It doesn't have to run the same machine.
That's right. Yeah. So there's lots of ways to make use of notifications. You can have tile, badge, and toast. Or raw. So these are the 4 kinds of notifications that you can send from the cloud in a general sense. And we've been showing Azure Notification Hubs because that's a really nice pain-free way of doing that. But you can actually have your own cloud services running that kind of are talking directly to notification services. You don't have to use Azure Notification Hubs.
It's just REST APIs that you use
they're
to
just
WNS.
REST,
Yes,
exactly.
exactly.
And you can send tile notifications, badge notifications, toast notifications, or you could send raw background task notifications, which is just basically app-specific data of any kind. You're just sending it using the push notifications channels, and then you activate your app, and then it does stuff with that raw thing.
The nice thing here is when you do push notifications, you don't have to write any code in your applications to display those notifications. They just show up because you're using WNS. All you have to do is just register that channel with WNS so it knows where your app is, so you can send those notifications.
That's right. So that registering right when your app starts up, you call WNS to get your channel URI, and that's what you basically send to the back end to say, well, when you want to reach me, this is where I am. And that's what Azure Notification Hubs or your own personal cloud services uses. And Windows Notification Service is this one service across all of UWP, all of our Windows 10, in fact, all of Windows 10, Windows 8.1 devices are all using these Windows Notification Service cloud services. There's one way that you make that call to get that channel URI, one process to register an app for push. And we've all gone down to, we've kind of converged all the templates as well, so you can use obviously the legacy templates or the new adaptive template, and it's all the same across Windows and phone and everything else. So the push architecture, this is just to kind of reiterate on this is the kind of way things work. First of all, your app runs, and it talks to the APIs on your client system, which goes off, and you get your channel URI. You then need to send it to your back end, because your back end needs to know where to send stuff, so in some way. And this could be Notification Hubs that handles that for you. And then when your back-end service has got something it needs to send, then it talks directly to push notification services, uses that channel URI, and says, hey, Windows notifications, send this to this channel URI, please. And that's kind of the circle of things, how it works. The way you set it up an app for push from Visual Studio is you associate the app with the store. And I showed that in the cloud services session we just did. But you can do this directly from Visual Studio, or you can go to dev.windows.com and you can actually do it through that. You can upload a package and reserve your app name and all that kind of stuff. But this is the best way of doing it, because it really directly ties your app and sets it up and fills in all the right details into your manifest and things and puts the right things in. Then this is this API. All UWP apps, if they want to get a channel URI, will do this. And you simply call push notification channel manager, create push notification channel for application. And that will give you back a channel URI, which you then you can actually, the other thing you can do if you want to react to raw notifications or notifications coming into the system while you're running, you can hook the push notification received. So this is where you get your channel URI, isn't it? Sorry, I'm getting this wrong. You get your channel URI and you send that off to the back end.
But you had it right. You can also receive the raw notifications with that code as well, but in the foreground. So if we have to actually has to be running to receive those raw notifications.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, nice way of testing this, you can use, there's a sample Azure web app at that URI. This is a very useful tool. It means one way of testing push without having to write a backend service. So you can use pushtestserver.azurewebsites.net/WS. What you have to do is you need to get your channel URI, your package security identifier, your SID, and your client secret. If you want to find out how to do that, you need to watch the session from the cloud services. I actually walked through getting that through. You have to go off to the live services site and you can get that information, and you just paste it into here, and then you just paste in here this the XML that you want to send, whatever it is, and the type at the bottom. So that's, and you can even actually, if you want to see how this whole website was written, you can actually get the code is published up on code.msdn.microsoft.com as well.
Or if you didn't know about this, you could have written a WPF application like I did.
Or you could have done that. Yes, you could have done that. There's also in the Windows Phone, the Windows Mobile emulator tools, there is also this notifications tab where you can do this with a phone client. So again, a nice simple alternative to writing your own WPF.
Options, that's all we want.
Loads of options, yes. Loads of options, yeah. But Nikola, you have
another
demo with using your lovely WPF sort of simulation that's simulating the back end.
Yes, yeah. So I wanted to send a raw notification out to the application.
Yeah.
So exactly the same process as before. We register our channel URI with the notification hub so it knows where to reach us. But in this case, we don't want to send a toast. We don't want to send a lifetile. We just want to send some data that we've specified what it looks like.
Yeah.
So in this case, for example, if you look at my beautiful Notifier 4000, you can see that all I'm sending now is just new item 3. That's it. I've defined this myself.
This is app-specific data.
Exactly.
Can be anything. Yeah.
You can make it JSON, you can make it XML, whatever you need that your applications can understand. So in order to receive this, in the foreground you already showed you can set an event on the channel URI that you've created to receive this, but you can also receive this in the background. That way you can update a badge. If you want, you can open up a tile yourself, update a live tile.
And I always think a real nice scenario for this is, you know how I find it particularly annoying when you look at a tile and it's put some information up about some a news story or something, and so the back-end service has updated your tile to say, oh look, breaking news or something. You tap on the tile and you open up your news app, and it's not there yet. It's like, that's really annoying. You can avoid that kind of problem actually you could send a raw notification from obviously you've got some back-end cloud services. Yep. So you send a raw notification from your cloud services to the background task associated with your news app. The background task runs, it maybe goes back to the services, pulls the news information about that thing, updates the cached information about that news story, and then it's the background task that sends the toast to say, or updates the tile to say, okay,
now it's ready.
Now there's ready. And now when your user actually taps on the tile,
it's immediately
the
there.
app's already up to date.
Exactly, yeah.
So that's a nice scenario for this kind of thing.
It sometimes is frustrating when you have a new thing and you're waiting once you open the application for it to load. I agree.
Yeah.
So as before, we have to register a background task, and I've created it in the same Windows Runtime component that I've created for the actionable task. I also have a new class that I've called raw notification task, and I'll show you that in a minute. But in this case, you'll notice that we have a push notification here for the task type instead of a system event. Yeah. So this is when I get a push notification, this is the task, the entry point that gets woken up. So same as before, in the Bootstrapper, you can register the background task right here. So you can see I'm registering for raw notification. If I go to definition, you'll see...
This actually nicely illustrates that an app can have more than one background task.
Absolutely.
And we said this in the background task thing. So
Absolutely.
you can have a whole suite of these things. Yeah.
So you can see here the trigger this time is just a push notification trigger for this background task.
Yeah.
Once I receive this notification, my background task will be woken up. So you can see the class that I've created, the raw notification task.
Yeah.
And here in this case, what I do is I essentially just get the details that I've sent to that notification. So
Yeah.
the new item /3, I can get that just like I parse for the actionable notification. I can parse that and do whatever I need to do. In this case, I'm updating the badge on
Yeah.
the application.
Yeah.
Very
Well, this
straightforward.
could be where we get the news story and send
Exactly.
it,
This is
or
where
do
you
all
do
the
it.
other stuff.
Or you can do
you know.
multiple different options,
Yeah,
etc.
Yeah.
So if to demonstrate this, for example, if I pin to do application to the start, you can
Yep.
see it, it's right there.
There we go. Yeah.
So if I send now an update to a new item, for example,
And it's
essentially the
you
raw
check,
item.
You check the raw thing there, yeah. And we're saying,
Exactly. So
yeah.
I say this as a raw notification.
Yeah.
I send to do. Now if I go here, this should
Oh,
essentially
there you go.
have.
And it just happens. Yeah.
It just
That's the
happens.
background
It's
task.
right there.
And you could
I'm gonna
debug that
update it
background
for you.
task in the same way that
The
you showed
exact
before.
same way. You can
Yeah.
follow and walk through it. Very straightforward.
Nice. Yeah. Sweet. Okay, that's cool. Great stuff. So yeah, just to stress that the push. Oh, you've got a question here. Can you have more than 2 action buttons? That's a good question.
Yes, you can have. You saw. It's up to the tile that actually shows up. So we talked about adaptive tiles. If you put too many, the adaptive tile is going to decide that it's too many. It's not going to show them. So if it can show more, it will. If not, it will decide on its own how many it can show. In this case, I had 4.
You had 4.
Yeah.
Which is probably enough for a little pop-up like that, really. You know.
Exactly. You don't want to
give
make
people
all these
too many
choices.
reasons. Yeah,
Which one do
so,
I
yeah.
choose? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all about usability.
But you can, yeah. So you can. So all the same notifications you can send locally from. So yeah, all the push payloads. It's all the same stuff you can do with code on your app, but you can send it all from the cloud. All the same templates and the new flexible templates. So you've got all the same stuff you can do. Right, to wrap up this sort of collection of all stuffs to do with notifications and tiles and all this sort of thing, let's just talk about Action Center. So Action Center is that nice new. If you're on desktop, we had it on phone 8.1. We've now got this nice thing where all your notifications, your toasts and everything, they turn up and they are visible on your system. So you know, there's the desktop one over there on the right with this panel that comes up. We've got a nice icon down in the on the taskbar to invoke it. For the phone, you actually have an icon on the top. You drag it down,
yeah.
drop down from the top, and you get 2 things in here. You've got the quick actions where you can go to like settings or particular tasks or particular apps through these quick settings, quick actions, and then of course you've got the list of notifications.
And on Windows, you can also swipe from the side to open up the notification center too.
Right.
The Action Center.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, so whenever you get a toast, they turn up in there. I mean, all the ones you've been sending will be shown in that.
Unless you don't do anything, they will just show up there.
That's right. So, and usually, obviously, a user, they can actually look at that Action Center, that list of notifications, and look back, and they stay in there for a period of time, and then they get automatically expired after that. But you can actually programmatically manage that list of notifications. So you can remove one or many, you can tag them, group them together, you can replace one that's in that list and maybe the information on it needs updating. You can set an expiration yourself on notifications programmatically. And also this nice thing you can do, you can send ghost toast notifications. So this is the sort of thing, I'm sure many of you who have got Windows 10 devices have opened up your machine or phone in the morning and you'll see a notification there saying 2 apps have been updated or something. And that's an example of, yeah, a toast has gone into Action Center, but there was never one of these interactive pop-ups. So it's just kind of where you can actually, that's called a ghost toast. So it does appear in the list of notifications, so the user can find it there, but it's not interruptive. And you use the Toast Notification Manager APIs to actually do all this stuff. And there's a little snippet at the bottom showing an example of removing a particular toast by title or removing a particular group.
You can also get events too. If somebody swipes away a notification, your application can be woken up and you can get a...
Funnily enough,
Yeah.
I'm coming to that in just a minute.
Excuse me.
Yeah. So, you want to think about how the user interacts with. So notifications are coming in and the user opens up Action Center and they can dismiss them from Action Center. They can swipe them away and delete them and this sort of thing. So they're kind of saying from that, well, okay, I'm done. I've read that. Dismiss it. Now, there's no hard and fast rule with this, and it's very much app scenario specific. But it may be appropriate. Maybe you've got a badge count on a tile, and when a user dismisses it from Action Center, they've read it. Maybe then you should reduce the unread badge count. You know, maybe you do. That's up to you and your app as to whether you think that's the right thing to do. But the important thing is that the app, when you open up the app and they look at unread items, let's say if it's a messaging kind of based app, and the count on the tile and the number of items still visible in Action Center need to tell a consistent story. So we've got, you know, think about when the user taps on a toast pop-up or in Action Center, you need to make sure that the app opens at the corresponding item. So you've got the joined up experience there. Again, you know, if the user opens the app and reads an item in the app, maybe you should go off if there's a corresponding item listed currently in Action Center, maybe you should remove that. And if the user dismisses an item from Action Center, maybe you should reduce the tile badge count. So that's something you have to design for yourself, but you need to think about just telling that consistent story. That's really kind of the important thing, the message here that we want to tell you. So you were mentioning, actually when a user dismisses an item in Action Center, your app can be, there's an event. You can be notified for that. Well, it's not so much it's an event, but also a background task trigger. So you can run some code in the background whenever a user does this, and it's called the Toast Notification History Change Trigger. Short and snappy, but tells what it is.
Very descriptive.
Says what it is on the tin, yeah. And that one fires whenever a user dismisses a notification from Action Center. So use this to trigger another background task in which you can maintain consistency of unactioned item counts in the app state and on tiles. Now, in your background task, I have got a sample in the sample code for this, but we're not going to show it now. You actually have got the Toast Notification Manager. You can get the history, and then you can do things like use the Badge Update Manager to change the to clear the count for badge count, or you can use the Badge Update Manager to update the badge count. So that's kind of a nice thing you might want to do in your background task. And that's it. We are done. So normally a summary slide, that kind of threw me. Whoa, we're on the end slide there. So. So that was a good run through. We showed, you know, we went through the tiles, we went through the toasts, and we had a nice interactive toast demo. We looked at the push notifications and how you can send like raw data directly through to a background task and trigger all this interesting stuff. And it's all about having this great experience and being able to activate code on the end user's devices, and this whole thing of having background things happening so that your app is alive and you are keeping the user informed through toasts and tiles and through the Action Center. And there's lots of ways now for your app to be, it's not just a dumb, boring, dead thing. It's going to actually communicate with the user and keep them interested and keep them informed.
And this is a good topic of to show how the platforms have unified from the past. And before, you know, developers, when they're writing multiple applications, had to do many different things for a different platform. And it's good to see how we've actually unified the best of all the platforms, and we've created this one unified language for both toasts and notifications, live tiles, etc.
And this really flexible template language is nice and easy for you to, easier than ever to define what it is.
If you're just a designer, you want to create your own, you're more flexible now to do exactly what you need, your brand for your application.
Great. Well, thanks, Nikola. So
thank you.
We're going to take, it's lunchtime here in Redmond, so we're going to take an hour's break. So I hope you enjoy an hour's break in whichever part of the world you are in. And we'll be back, us both after, in around about an hour's time at 12:30 Pacific time.
Or 12:30 as the Americans would say.
Sorry, 12:30 as Americans would say, yeah. And we'll be back, and actually after lunch, don't miss it, because you've got loads of great, cool new demos to show.
Yeah, we'll chat with Cortana a bit, you know, get logged in with
bit
Windows
of inking
Hello.
and that sort of stuff.
Get creative.
Yeah, and drag and drop.
Yeah. You saw a little demo I had with you drawn on there. Yeah. We'll show you how to do that.
Cool. Yeah. So lots of real nice. This is all about more personal computing. So please join us then, and we'll see you then. Thanks.
Cheers.